In a village where traditions ruled with an iron fist, one father's blind obedience cost him more than his honor. It cost him his only daughter. This is not just a story. It's a warning whispered across generations. Exterior, African village, dusk. Crimson light spills over a quiet village nestled between two mountains. Smoke rises from cooking fires. A drumbeat echoes softly in the distance. Interior, shrine hut, night. A dim, flickering room. Walls lined with ancestral masks. In the center, Elder Okon, eyes glazed with trance, rocks back and forth, whispering ancient chants. Before him kneels Dara, a strong but aging father, eyes lowered in respect. Elder Okon whispers, then suddenly loud. The gods have spoken. A curse haunts our soil. The harvests die. The river dries. The gods demand a sacred pounding, a cleansing. Dara, trembling. Who must be offered? Elder Okon opens his eyes, piercing, cold. Elder Okon, your daughter, Naya. Dara's face crumples. He stares at the dirt floor, fists clenched. A small, humble home. Naya, 16, vibrant, curious, braids her hair by firelight. Dara enters quietly. Naya, come sit with me. She sits beside him. Silence. Dara, softly. There are things a father must do, even when his heart shatters to speak them. Naya, smiling faintly. What is it, Baba? Dara, struggling. The elder says you must take part in the sacred pounding. The gods, they... Naya, interrupting. No, Baba, please. Her eyes flood with tears. Naya continued. The gods do not ask for pain. Men do. I've heard the screams of other daughters. You know this is wrong. Dara, quietly. I am bound by tradition. Naya, and I am bound by truth. If you pound me, you kill your blood, not a curse. A huge crowd gathers. Drums pound rhythmically. Smoke rises. The air is thick with tension. At the center, a raised platform. Naya stands, arms bound, surrounded by masked elders. Dara steps forward, heavy stick in hand, trembling. Elder Okon chants, begin the pounding. Dara raises the stick. Naya screams, stop! Let the gods strike me down now, if they truly asked for this. The drums falter. Silence. Thunder rumbles in the sky. All eyes turn upward. Naya defiantly. Your rituals were born from fear, not faith. Whispers ripple through the crowd. Women clutch their daughters. Even the elders look uncertain. Dara drops the stick. No more. He steps in front of Naya, shielding her, Dara, to the crowd. If the gods want punishment, they may take me. In a forgotten African village where time moves with the wind and memory is carved into wood and song, 16-year-old Naya stood still as the drums began to echo through the hills. The rhythm wasn't new to her. She had heard it during other girls' ceremonies. But this time it sounded heavier, slower, as if the earth itself mourned with each beat. Inside her grandmother's hut, the air was thick with herbs and silence. Those drums, Naya whispered, they speak, don't they? Her grandmother, old and wrinkled like sun-dried leather, looked up from her weaving. They do, child, she said softly. They lie. Naya froze. What do you mean? The old woman sighed, placing her loom aside. They told us the gods demanded the pounding, that without it our crops would die, our children fall sick, So we obeyed. We beat our daughters thinking we were saving the village. Her voice cracked. But it was never the gods. It was fear, men, power. Naya's chest tightened. Then why didn't anyone stop it? The grandmother looked into the fire. Because we were told silence was sacred, that questioning was rebellion, and rebellion brought curses. The next morning, the village gathered in the square. The drums pounded louder now, the air vibrating with tradition. Naya stood between two elders, her arms loosely bound, not yet by rope, but by expectation. Her father, Chief Dama, stood before the crowd, wearing the ceremonial mask. As he stepped forward to begin the ritual, Naya's voice rang out, clear and sharp, cutting through the noise like a blade. Before you strike me, know this: the drums have lied. The crowd hushed instantly, even the wind paused. These drums told you I am impure, that my body must be cleansed through pain. But my grandmother told me the truth. This is not faith, this is fear dressed as ritual. Murmurs began. Some women looked down, others at their daughters. Chief Dama hesitated, the stick trembling in his hand. You shame your bloodline, he said. I honor it, Naya replied, by speaking what our mothers never could. She turned to the people. Ask yourselves, have the gods ever spoken to you directly, or only through the mouths of men? One of the elder women stepped forward, her voice shaking. I too was pounded. I still carry the pain. The gods never came, only the scars remained. More murmurs. Then silence. The drums stopped. For the first time in generations, the ritual did not continue. Naya stood tall, unbroken, while her father lowered the ceremonial stick. In that silence, a new sound rose, not of drums. The sun was soft that evening, casting golden shadows beneath the great baobab tree at the edge of the village. A group of children sat cross-legged in a circle, their eyes wide with curiosity, their laughter fading as the old man began to speak. His voice was like gravel soaked in memory, rough, slow, deliberate. There was once a man, he began, staring into the dust at his feet, who loved his daughter more than life itself. She was his only child, born after many seasons of prayer and waiting. Her name was not important. What matters is what happened to her. The children leaned in. The man continued, his fingers absent-mindedly drawing circles in the dirt. In those days, the village followed rituals older than memory. We believed that when crops failed or sickness came, someone had sinned, and to cleanse the land we offered pain to the gods, pain taken from the innocent. The children were silent now, sensing the weight in his words. There was one ritual, the most feared of all, the old man said, the pounding. Girls, when they came of age, were chosen, some said by spirits, others by men pretending to be spirits. We believed that hurting them made the village whole again. His voice faltered for a moment, but then steadied. The man I speak of, he did not question. When the elders said his daughter must be offered, he obeyed. Not because he was cruel, but because he was afraid. Afraid of curses, of dishonor, of being cast out. So he held the stick in trembling hands and he stopped. The wind rustled the leaves overhead. He did what he was told. One little boy, no older than 7, raised a hand and asked innocently, "What happened to the girl?" The old man's shoulders slumped. "She cried," he whispered, "not from pain, but from betrayal." The children watched as his eyes turned glassy, his voice nearly breaking. She begged him to stop, said the gods would never ask for such cruelty. But he didn't listen, not until it was too late. A soft, brave voice from a young girl near the front broke the silence. "Was that girl your daughter?" The question hung in the air like smoke. The old man looked up at her. For a long moment he said nothing. Then, slowly, he nodded. His lips trembled as he replied, barely audible, "She was." A tear slid down his cheek, tracing a path through the dust on his weathered skin. The children sat still, unsure of what to say. The baobab tree creaked in the wind, as if groaning with shared sorrow. "We think silence protects us," the old man said finally. "But silence is what kills the truth. Speak, all." The night she escaped, the moon was a silver eye watching from behind the clouds, and her bare feet bled on the rocks as she ran through the forest. Naya didn't look back. She couldn't. Her arms still ached from the ropes. Her back still throbbed from the first strike of the ceremonial stick. But her spirit was unbroken, and that was more dangerous than anything her father feared. By dawn, she reached the neighboring village of Tamuro, collapsing just beyond the gates as startled farmers gathered around her bruised and trembling body. When she woke in a straw hut with the scent of herbs in the air, women surrounded her, cautious, curious. "Why did you come?" one of them asked, voice gentle but wary. Naya sat up slowly, wincing. "To warn you," she said, "of what's coming, of what they call tradition." They listened as she spoke of the pounding, of how the drums masked the screams, of how fathers turned against daughters in the name of gods who had never spoken for themselves. But disbelief settled in the room like dust. A woman crossed her arms. "These are just stories. Fear makes them larger than truth." Naya said nothing. Instead, she turned her back to them and lifted her tattered shirt. Gasps filled the room. The scars spoke louder than her words, dark, angry welts, still healing, some fresh, some old. "This," she whispered, "is what they call sacred." Silence followed, and then something shifted. One of the older women stepped forward, her face pale. "My sister disappeared during the cleansing season. They told us she had been chosen. We never saw her again." Another spoke. "My mother warned me never to speak of what was done to her." By sunset, word had spread. Dozens gathered under the village tree. Naya stood before them not as a victim, but as a voice. "I am not the first," she said, "but I will not be the last if we stay silent." The women of Tamuro rose, farmers, weavers, mothers, daughters, with fire in their eyes and old rage in their hearts. The next morning, they walked together to Naya's village. They came without weapons, only voices, but voices were enough. When Chief Dama and the council stood to challenge them, the women did not shout. They simply named what had been hidden. Each scar was a testimony, each survivor a witness. One by one, the old lies began to fall. The men stared in stunned silence as mothers stood between their daughters and the stick, as wives turned their backs on their husbands' silence. What began with one girl's escape became a rebellion not of fire and blood, but of truth and courage. That day, the drums were silent, and in their place rose something older and more powerful than any ritual, the voice of a daughter who spoke, and a village that finally listened. The earth had cracked beneath their feet, and the sky refused to cry for months. Crops withered, animals collapsed, and desperation clung to every breath. The elders gathered beneath the shrine tree, declaring the drought a punishment. The gods were angry, they said, because impure daughters still walked unpunished. But there was only one left, Lami, the chieftain's only child. When they came for her, she stood tall.